Welcome to Trading Lounge and the indices, and starting with the S&P on the daily chart. So no change in the count. We've got this as 1 and 2 here, going up for wave 3 and ABC for wave 4, and then looking at this as wave 1 to the upside and wave 2 here. That may be a little bit simplistic, and we're just going to talk about that a little bit as well. So in the bullish weekly cycle, we normally see sort of Thursday sort of being a bit bearish, and Wednesday and Thursday, starting on Tuesday really, profit taking coming in on the Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, kind of swing days. And I think that's because we kind of also get a lot of announcements, from the Feds in those couple of days there. But Thursday morning Thursday afternoon, we'd kind of see the market shoring up a little bit, and then we'll see how look for Friday to be bullish and Monday to follow through on that. So of course anything can happen, but if Friday does close strong, then we can expect Monday to follow through on that. Wherever Friday finishes up, Monday will follow through on that. That's pretty much the bottom line on that. The move to the upside here counts a little bit differently depending on which market that you look at: the SPX, the futures, the E-minis, the ETF, all of those sorts of things, and I will explain that. But while we're here, the bearish count on this, which we have looked at before, which will be on the 50k tick here, nothing's really changed on that. So the whole move to the upside here would be an A and a B and a C wave to this particular point, with wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, and then down. But I don't have any evidence of that just yet, so I don't need to go there just yet. So I'll always play to the first trading opportunity, and that would be looking to go long in the market. So so let's just go back to, well, we don't need to go back to the daily chart. Let me just think about this for a moment. We'll go into the bullish side. So the bullish side is this one here, where we have wave 3, the A, the B, and the C wave here for wave 4. Now, when we looked at the daily chart, then we just had wave 1 sitting up here. So this is, I'll just go for a little tour on something. So because basically, in this instance here, we've got this as the low. When we look at the SPY and the full futures contracts, not the E-minis, we'll have this as the low. And in some cases, like the futures, big futures, we've got this as the high over this one here. So there's slightly different ways to view these sorts of things, and I think it's good to, we'll just have a quick little tour on them. This is the futures here. So in the futures here, this is the low. On the SPX, this is the low. But there is a good case here for looking at this as 1 and 2 and 3 here, and across for 4 and 5. So we could assume that on the SPX over here, if I just go there for a minute, that we could assume that this one here is truncated part of this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here, truncated fifth wave. So anyway, that's sort of up for debate, really, The SPX does take out the top there, so that was interesting. Let me just go back to the futures here. Did that? Yeah, that took the top out there. Did the E-minis do that? No, the E-minis did not do that. And what did the SPY do? The SPY was also below the previous top here. So in this case here, the SPY, we could call this the low here, and look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, with a nice A, B, and C here, and this would be the A, the B, and the C. There is a good case for counting this as 5 waves up here, by the way. I'm just shooting the breeze here a little bit, and then we'll sort of get going with it all. But so in this case, for instance, I could go 1, 2 here and 3 to here, because I've pulled this apart on, this is 15 minutes chart, but I've looked at it closer. But so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So it's pulled back quite deeply for wave 4, but not really overlapped wave 1 here. So there is a case to look at this whole move up here slightly differently. We could, if this was the low here, we could look at this as the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave to here, and that's where the bearish count would come into play. In some cases, like the SPX here, just to sort of go over this a little bit, we don't have the new low here, so we could somehow look at this as 1 and 2 here. That's 3, 4, 5. That's all pretty, yeah, and still get that, yeah. I was just sort of thinking, can we use that as wave 5 here? Because I was just sort of thinking off the top of it, can we use this as an A and a B and a C wave here, this type of thing, you know? But this is lower on some cases. So anyway, look, I'm just sort of saying that there's different ways to view all of this. You know, that's the thing with it. So I try to go and look at stocks at this point and see what they're doing at this point as well. But just going back, just to point out that it's not a simple count. There is slight variations in everything. So we do need to see. We do need to see a long trade setup with all of this. So in this case, we could look at this here as the A, the B, and the C wave down here. So I'm thinking Thursday would see. Now, there are companies that are doing earnings and things that Tesla was doing it after the market. So it looks like it wants to push back up here, which would be about right, because we're looking for, I'll just go to a smaller version of this, 10,000, yeah. So I'm looking at this being I mean, it doesn't count very nicely down here as 5 waves at this point, but still in some cases we can count that to the top there. So yeah, I know I'm waffling on a little bit here, I'm just thinking at the same time, but yeah, I was thinking with most stocks that there was still just a little bit more of a push down in here, not a big one, but that's there. I just want to have a look at Tesla just to see I know Netflix was reporting as well, but I wasn't that interested in Netflix. With Tesla here? I wonder if it has reported just yet. A bit of volume coming there for that. Okay. I was just wondering where that support came from, but I know we'd get a bounce off the 4-3 anyway. So what we're looking for is we're looking for this trend here to land, and then tomorrow we'll be looking for the first impulse wave to the upside. So if we do get that impulse wave to the upside, then we'll be getting an ABC pattern and so on, and then we'll look to build in on top of these sorts of things here. But we do need to see this as impulsive and not corrective. So we have to, because of these current lows and current highs here, there's variations of them across the S&P, that we just need to have another layer of security and safety before we go long. So looking for a nice. That's what we'll be looking for the setup tomorrow, if that is indeed going to be the case. Okay, so that's the S&P and the NASDAQ. It's a little bit clearer here that we can view this as 1 and 2 here and 1 and 2 here. Now, could we also look at this as an A and a B and a C wave up here? Yeah, we could, and we could kind of squeeze 5 waves out of this as 1 and 2 here and 3, 4, 5. We could squeeze that in there. So there's different ways to view this situation here as well, in terms of counting it. So this is a little bit easier actually, in terms of the analysis is not so easy in this, because you could count this in different ways. I mean, if I can count something and it's just simple and clean and tidy and it is what it is, well then I can use that. And that's what I try to look for, but that's not always the case. I mean, a lot of the times, or most of the time, things are quite messy, so you do need a bit of support back up on how you move in and analyze and look for trade setups. I mean, I use Elliott to help me find trade setups and help me find the direction. It's not the as fantastic as it is. I always like to get a little bit more support in there, so the trading levels does that for me. And quite simply here, we've got the 15,000, and I always like a market if it can actually drop below the level in a meaningful way and then find support on the level. So this is what we'll be looking for a bit on the Thursday, but probably more so on the Friday. It will sort of develop further, and if it does push up, well, then we can move with it. So we're looking for this little area through here. If we look at this here as the main level, we'll be looking at it like this here. So what we want to see is a move up to the 15,000, a reaction from that, then the first high above the level. We don't need to chase any of that, honestly, because it could still turn bearish. We can go long above that top, we can go long above the second top, and we can go long above the third top. Because if it's going to fail, what's going to happen is it's going to push up here, bounce back down here. When it comes back up here, it's going to fail at this point and drop from here. So you also need a little classic trading levels pattern in this little space here as well. So this bigger picture here, you need a smaller fractal of that in here. So this would be the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, the ABC pattern, and then you're moving in at that point, and then you start scaling in over here for this. This is where you start building that that position at that point. So that's what we're looking for. Are we going to get that? Well, I think that we could, but it's not set in stone at this point, because we don't have a one solid clear pathway for the S&P to the upside. So that's where we are at this point. And yeah, the other thing with these two, we're looking at the triple Q was much the same as well. A little bit simpler in this point. So just here we're looking for the A wave, the B wave, and we've got this C wave coming, so there's a little bit more to come here. So I use the 365 there. And it's also looking at the XLK there this morning as well, which was also the same. So yeah, so in this case here we need to take this low out here. That's why I know we need to come down a little bit further here for this. This is not quite finished yet, so you'll see a drop on the open in the next session. You'll see some short covering, on the close here, like we're seeing at the moment. You'll see that volume come in, but at the end of the day, yeah, we still need to come down into the maybe the 165, 166 into that sort of area here. This is not quite finished off. It's a bit difficult to call that 5 waves up here. I mean, I could in terms of a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here and look at this as wave 2 here. It's possible, but this is probably more probable over here to have a little bit more of a low here. So that's what you'll have to accommodate there. So we come to the Russell, and the Russell's one of the weakest. It's interesting though. I should actually have a look at the constituents in all of this, but I can see from let's just go to the daily chart here for a moment. So this is kind of what I wanted to show in a way. This move to the upside here for the S&P is pretty much like the so we know that the Russell 2000 here is well, that's pretty weak, so we can just look at it here. This is the Russell 2000, so it's got a completely different, this is a weekly chart by the way, this whole pattern from the low of the A here, moving up here is more like it's in 3 waves up here. So it really, I mean, to me it normally should be taken out this low here of this, down here somewhere. It should be taken that low out here to finish this off with some sort of A, B and C down here. It's just not very impulsive at this point. But it's interesting really, because when you have a look at the Russell 3000 here, that's very much like this is it here. It's very much like the S&P here, isn't it? Like it's almost identical in a way. And then you have a look at the Russell 1000 here, and that's also the same as well. So it's just the Russell 2000 that's basically, I haven't updated this for ages, but that's fallen out of bed. So so I need to just check the constituents within that market. But anyway, getting back to this point down here. So far we've got this impulse wave here, which we could call wave A and B here, and then 5 waves down here for wave C. So we could have it as wave C at this point, and then move up. There is a good case for a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. This move here appears to be in 3 waves. So yeah, I'm a little bit sort of, and this one here is in little 5 waves here. So my guess is that we'll sort of come down to here somewhere and then push back up from here before pushing down. I think we still need to make a new low down here. There might even be a couple more lows in this space. So we could probably view this here as wave 2 here and wave 1 here, but I'm not sure. I have had a look inside this one here. It looks like an impulsive wave, and this looks corrective. But the good news here, any long trade here would have to take out this top here, or we would need to see some development in here. But this does appear to be 5 waves down here when I look inside it. So I think we've got to be careful of a rally at this point. So yeah, I'm not that sure with this one. And then we come over to the European markets. So this doesn't have to be wave 4 here with this really. So, but in the same time, we've still got wave 3 here with an A and a B and a C for wave 4 here, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here. So yeah, so this will, I'm thinking this will finish off with the S&P 500 here. So I think there's still like a little bit more of a bounce and thing to come down here for this, but it will gravitate into the 15,000 here. So your job would be to count 5 waves in this space here, but there will be a bounce off here. But it doesn't have to be wave 4 here. If we look at, come back to this area here and have a look at the DAX, yeah, it could be, I mean, when I've tried to look at this in different ways, the DAX, the whole move up here, and I've got in this count, I've got wave 1 here and wave 2 here, right, which is really quite small, but I'm kind of happy with that. I could drag it across and put it at the top here, but if I have this as being quite small here, then the whole extension for wave 3 is quite nice and fits quite perfectly actually, and then wave 4 to wave 5 here is also small as well. So wave 1 and 5 being small and the extension in wave 3 here. But whichever way it is, it kind of doesn't really take us away from what's actually happening here in the correction as the A wave, the B wave, and here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. So we still need to make another low in here. Once again, the extension's in wave 3 here, so wave 5 coming down here, and wave 1 will be roughly the same. I never bother about actually measuring them because it's not really about that. It's just kind of eyeballing it, looking for, I didn't mean to use a green line there, but yeah, it still needs to come down. It still needs to break lower below wave 3, so we need to see a move below the 15 here. So that will be in line with the S&P. So we'll see how that plays out. So still searching for a low. So no change in any of this. It just, all I'm saying is it doesn't have to be wave 4 here. That's the gist of that. But we'll look for the long side on that. So the FTSE here, I did make a little bit of a change here in that, well, I'll just change the top here a little bit, but basically 1, 2 here, and a bit more happier with this actually, and wave 3, 4, and 5 here. So to me, we've got quite a nice impulse wave in this structure. And then we, if the rest of the markets have got a little bit more to go down, well, then I would assume this would have another little move to play out down here. So we don't really have to do anything. What we need to look for is, once this is completed here, then we need to, you can count 5 waves in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll need to just wait for this to land, and then we'll need to look for an impulse wave to as a setup to be part of the upside here with this. But it's an impulse wave up to here, it's pulled back into its 50-60%, then we just have to look for that that push to the upside there. So won't be ready. It's not ready yet. That's the main thing. So the Australian market's same, but a little bit different here. So the Australian market, we'd be looking for wave 1 to the upside with wave A here, and I thought we may have had this here as yesterday as wave 1 and an ABC for wave 2, and then another 5 waves up here. But obviously we couldn't go long above the top. That was pretty much the aim of things. But we do have 5 waves here, we have 3 waves here, and we have a little 5 waves here. So the only way to view this is just double the correction here. So the A wave here, the B wave here, and then we need to count 5 waves down here. So I'm thinking there'll be a bounce off the 7,000, we'll come back into this space, and then we'll come down to here. And so what we're looking for over here is we're looking for a classic trading levels pattern back on the 7,000 over here. That's what we're kind of looking for. Thursday's not going to give us that, so it's probably going to happen overnight, but we'll pick this up Friday morning, and hopefully we'll have a long trade set up at that stage. So that's what I'm thinking. So yeah, obviously not much to do today in any of this, so I'll leave it all at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.